Alright, so I'm going to be talking about a kind of debated subject in the Forsaken community, and that is Chance as a character. I'm not really going to be talking about balancing, but I'm going to be talking about the gameplay experiences Chance and kind of an overall view of why RNG in a game like this isn't really a good idea. I'm by no means saying Chance is like an objectively bad survivor. They are very strong in the right hands and with the good luck. But playing them as a less experienced player can be a really big struggle, and I think that I want to kind of fix that. Essentially, I want to rework Chance to be more risk versus reward. So, directly tying into the charge system, I want to make it so the less charges they get, the better rewards they get, but the more risk they take. And the more charges, less risk, less reward. It directly correlates. I feel like a big issue is that Chance doesn't really correlate their risk versus reward very well. Like, for example, you know, you're taking a 50-50 risk with one charge on your shoot, but you know, that's the same, you get the same reward as if you were going for a 90% chance to shoot. And I think that's where my problem lies. Coin flip and hat fix specifically, I don't think I would have any changes for. My only idea was, you probably know how coin flip and hat fix work if you're watching this video, but essentially coin flip, 50-50 chance. If it's heads, it'll give one charge to Chance's abilities, and if it is tails, it'll give one stack of weakness lasting 15 seconds, and every time it's tails, the weakness goes up and resets to 15 seconds. Hat fix essentially acts like a cop-out for when you get bad luck. It'll reset all of your weakness, and it will also fix your gun if it misfired. But I don't really think I'd change these. I think they are pretty core aspects of Chance's gameplay that don't really have too many issues, in my opinion. My only idea for hat fix was that essentially it just only removed a few stacks of weakness at a time, so it's a little bit riskier to use. But looking back, I don't really think I like that idea after I was brainstorming it, so I'm probably not gonna keep it. But my main issues lie with reroll and shoot. Reroll is an ability tied into Chance's passive. I think it's called Unpredictable Fate. But essentially Chance will start with between 50 and 90 HP. They have, when they use reroll, they will reroll between 50 and 130, so you can get more or less HP essentially every time you reroll. And it's pretty notoriously known, like multiple YouTubers have literally said as a tip and trick, essentially, that having multiple charges on reroll is completely useless and you should just do it with one charge to make it more convenient for yourself. And I don't really like that. I think reroll should be more similar to shoot, mostly for consistency's sake, but just to tie more into the fact that you're gambling. You know, the character is literally based around gambling, so there should be more direct correlation between risk and reward. Reroll kind of just has the same risk and reward no matter how many charges you have on it. And similarly to shoot, I already talked about that. But I think reroll exemplifies the problem more. And shoot, everyone knows shoot. I feel like I don't need to explain that, but it's essentially a long range stun. It can pierce through walls. It can do quite a lot. It does 50 damage to kill it. That's not really important, but no, might as well mention it. And basically based on distance, will be how long it shoots, or how long it stuns. Closer is longer, further is shorter, obviously. So if you shoot them right in front of you, it's gonna be 5 seconds. If you shoot them at like basically the end of your hitbox, it's gonna be 1 second. I'm pretty sure it's 1 to 5. But my thing with that is that 1 charge and 3 charge have the same risk, like the same reward and, you know, punishment, but at different chances. I think that's kind of stupid. You know, you should be rewarded for taking like bigger chances. So I'm gonna talk about shoot first, actually. Shoot is essentially, my idea is that the more charges you have, the shorter the stun gets. Well, obviously the more guaranteed the stun is. Also, a big change that I want to make is, for consistency's sake, and just, you know, I'm not like a level 100 chance, I'm like level 60. But, you know, I've had enough experience with them that I can give this opinion, but I think that having 3 charges and then your gun blowing up anyways is kind of annoying. You know, you gambled all the way to get 3 charges, and, you know, you're ready to shoot the killer, they're right there, and then your gun blows up, and then you probably just die 5 seconds later because the killer sees you blew up, and then it's like, oh, free kill, and you probably are at that point. So I want 3 charges. 1 and 2 charges will have the exact same chances, but I want 3 charges to have a 100% chance to shoot. In exchange, chance's stun time will no longer be based on how far you are from the killer when you stun them. It will be based on charges, like I said. At 1 charge, it will have a 4-second stun. At 2 charges, it will have a 3-second stun, and at 3 charges, it will have a 2-second stun. So it gets shorter by 1 second per charge. You know, it's pretty solid, it's pretty consistent. So those who really want to take the risk, you can use 1 or 2 charges and get a decently long stun. Or if you want to play it safe, you can get a shorter stun at a guaranteed chance. I was considering making it so 1 charge makes it 5 seconds, and then 2 charges makes it 4 seconds, and then there's essentially a extra second gap after you get that guaranteed shot. That's probably how I'd make it, but these are kind of just brainstormed ideas. Now, this also I feel encourages more, like, you don't have to worry about your stun not being long just because you're at range. That's a big thing. A lot of chance players try to get closer, and that's not really a good idea when the whole thing is that you're a range stun. So I think this also encourages more ability interruptions. It encourages ending chases from afar. Like, it puts yourself, like, you at less bodily risk, but still, you know, your stun's not as long anymore, you know? So that's how I imagine it would go. With reroll, though, I want it to be more similar to the original shoot, which I actually have, like, the exact chances, essentially. So how reroll works is similarly direct, more charges, less benefit, essentially. So at 1 charge, it will have a 50-50 chance to increase or decrease your max HP. And this will increase or decrease by 50. So, which is a pretty sturdy amount. I was thinking, you know, making it 30 and decreases by 10. But I think for the risk to reward correlation, it'll start at 50 and decrease by 20. So at 2 charges, obviously, it'll only change by 30, but it'll have a 70% chance to increase and a 30% chance to decrease. And at 3 charges, it will have a 90% chance to increase and a 10% chance to decrease. Now you might be wondering, why does shoot deserve to have a guaranteed chance? Oh, 3 charges also, it only changes it by 10. But why does shoot deserve to have a guaranteed chance where, you know, reroll only gets 90%? My idea with that is that, first off, if you lose the 10%, then there's much less punishment if you lose the 10%, whereas compared to if you lost the 10% with shoot, then if you got the 10% in the first place, then there's an extra 50% chance that either you're a sitting duck or you're a sitting duck that just took like 50 damage. Either way, it's much more disastrous than losing the 10% chance to just decrease your health by 10. That's essentially an entanglement hit. And so I think that's more fair. It's more similar to shoot. It's more consistent, being across all of Chance's abilities. They, you know, now all of their abilities work pretty similarly. Hapfix, I had an idea for Hapfix where it essentially had an extra benefit that basically when you used Hapfix, it would guarantee that your next reroll would increase your HP, but by half the value. The reason I'm not like confident with that is, one, I just don't know how that would be. I don't really have a way to test the changes, obviously, but I don't really know how that would be. And a big thing is also that would probably be really hard to code in if it was ever added. But I think that would probably be my other idea for Hapfix. Otherwise, Hapfix is completely unchanged. I don't really think it needs changes. Any change made to it would really mess up Chance's gameplay, I feel. Whereas Coin Flip also isn't changed, but shoot and reroll really needed changes to make them more pleasurable to change, and also directly encourages taking a bigger risk. You know, you get more reward, you can get more HP if you take the bigger risk, you can get a longer stun if you take the bigger risk. So that's how I view it, essentially. And that's what I do to Chance. That's how I would rebalance Chance, to have a more direct reward risk to reward correlation, which is just something they don't have right now. Realistically, you get the same rewards for different risk across the board, and I don't really think that works. Honestly, Chance, another thing is, I think Chance just like as a character is flawed. I don't think RNG in a game like this really works. I don't know how to like describe it fully, but it just feels like it doesn't really have a solid place in this game. Again, Chance is like a good character. They're not bad. They're pretty fun to play. Like even if you get a gun explosion, that can be funny. That can just make you laugh. But sometimes it's just those moments where realistically you can't blame anything besides the game just giving you bad luck. But with my idea, you know, if you took a risk with low charges for more reward and you lost the gamble, then that's you actively taking a risk. Whereas you put all the effort to get 3 charges and then you just get punished for it anyways. It's also not only risk versus reward, but it's also, you know, more consistency for already taking the risk of rolling your coin. And again, I wouldn't change the coin mechanic. I think it's pretty solid. It's very core to Chance's gameplay, and I don't have a big problem with it. But if Chance was reworked, this is how I'd like to see it. So it just, you get more out of your risk, essentially. That's probably all I really have to say. I like Chance. I like playing Chance. Like, I'm not saying they're not like a particularly, oh, I never enjoy playing Chance. Like, every time I play Chance, I hate my life, and it sucks, and I want to die. But no, like, Chance is fun, you know? They're just inconsistent, and some of those inconsistencies just pester me, and I don't really like that. So yeah, that's all I really have to say. Chance, despite what the thumbnail says, Chance doesn't exactly suck, but the gameplay can very much suck. And yeah, that's how I'm gonna wrap this up. This is my first Forsaken video. I don't know how I'll wrap that up. Whatever. I don't know, I'll probably put up like an image of my weird Spamton backbling or something. Bye.